altitude. Please put your body, mind, and soul in the upright position. We hope you enjoy the ride.
Welcome to WAYSPACE. This is it. Here we are. Let's be here now. Yo, what's up? How are you doing? How's your week been? How's your week going now that it's a new week? My week has been good. It's been interesting. I had some experiences I'm definitely going to talk about. And at the same time, I don't think this will be too long of a podcast today. I feel like I'm like ready to just go into it, and get things going. But one thing I'm excited about is I finally got a good keyboard stand for my MIDI keyboard so that I can I'm looking at it right now, so that I can sort of have like a setup for like performing where I have the keyboard set up, I have my laptop right on the keyboard with this adapter, and then I have my like a mic or something, close enough to me that I can sort of do the whole shebang that I do like on my stream, but like actually at shows. So when I get back from my vacation this week, I'm going to really rehearse for that so that for my next show, which is on August 31st, I can like kind of do something, I think this is sort of me working through a couple episodes back when I talked about learning something new. I think as far as music goes, I've been really wanting to do something like this where I can like feel really good about and actually like enjoy playing a show by myself in a way that is different than what I did, maybe 5 years ago or so when I just have my phone plugged into with the beats and just playing the beats and just kind of like walking around the stage rapping. I think that can be a great show, and I'm gonna like that can be really great. But I got sort of dissatisfied with it after a while, and I wanted to add new elements in. But the feeling of being able to just be my own performer and perform by myself, that's something that I kind of miss. And so I think this is sort of like the next step, leveling up a little bit, doing something a little bit new and enjoying that in a real way that feels like, whoa, I'm taking a bit of a leap of faith here. Like, what the fuck am I going to do with my MIDI keyboard, but I'm going to figure it out. I think there are sort of like sounds I can add to the beats that I play. I think what I'm going to probably do is like create like basically like a set that is specifically just for this live show where like I produce an intro, sort of like the intro for this podcast. Maybe I'll like remix it or something, and then have the songs that I'm going to play, but have like transitions and stuff like that where there are parts of the set where I can like play on the MIDI keyboard myself and add cool things to it, but not do like a ton, like do what I'm, really feel comfortable and able to rehearse. And then moments when I come over to the mic and I'm more like focused on the vocal performance. I think that kind of like play could be really fun and interesting and ultimately entertaining. So, and it's like, what do I got to lose? I'm here just to enjoy performing and to try something new. So I think that's going to be a really beneficial way for me to do that. And even if it changes over the course of the next few weeks before the 31st, I'm still, on this path, getting ready to do it, So anyway, that's kind of what I've been thinking about the last few days. And take that to mean that, if you're at a point where you feel like creatively, musically, in whatever way with your art, that you feel like there's just something that you would love to be able to do, like maybe you've been making music and you would really love to be able to like create your own cover artwork or something, just try it, even if you don't end up using it, it's just great because then you kind of get the creative muscles going, and I think that for me is something that I'm working on right now. So that being said, I tried those totally appropriate to talk about on the podcast mushrooms that I learned how to grow. So speaking of another thing that I learned, and I tried them out at a really low dose. And, I don't even know if there's much I need to say about it. It was cool. They are wonderful. I'm so kind of just grateful that I have them and that I was able to learn how to grow and have them and just kind of like, just like experience it. But I also feel like tripping experiences at this point are not totally necessary. I think they can be great opportunities for connection, like with other people or something, and can be sort of like assist in that process, but other things can do that too. But I think for myself, like there was a time where I really kind of turned to psychedelics as a way for me to connect with myself in a way that I felt like I wasn't able to otherwise. But I think within the last couple years, I've really been working diligently and in a very disciplined way to build that rapport with myself to the point where I don't really experience anything new when I take a psychedelic. It's classic Alan Watts quote where if once you get the message, hang up the phone, And yeah, I've gotten the message. That being said, I'm glad I tried them out because they're like my babies, and it was my first time and I learned something new and that was great. But the actual experience, I felt like, at this point, this is kind of just messing with the trajectory that I already know I want to have. And it's giving me room and loosening me up to doubt a lot of things. But I don't think I really need that right now. I don't really need to doubt what my ego is sort of committed to at this point now. I mean, to think about like the last episode, my ego is pretty committed to like doing what I've aligned with my values and aligned with what I want to do in my life. And I think I'm going to keep thinking about it, but now I have the tools that I need in my regular state of consciousness, sort of like within myself, without anything other than like my habits, my techniques, my exercises, my behaviors to build that rapport with myself and continue building it. So that's what I'm going to be focused on is, for lack of a better term or another term, my mystical spiritual practice. That's the idea. Though, to be honest, maybe this came from the tripping experience, but I kind of was starting to feel like, do I really need to talk about my spiritual practice all the time? Like, shouldn't I just do it? Which I still agree with that. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how I want to talk about it, but I realize that like something like this podcast and talking about how I'm doing and talking about inevitably my practice is a part of my practice too. So I just accept that and I just got to be humble about it. Like I haven't figured out anything in particular that you haven't already figured out. It's just, this is the way that I process what I'm doing and you have your own way of processing it. So I guess I'm saying that for me, but I'm also saying that for all of us. Just like, please, when I talk about my practice and all this stuff, like it really is just because it's a part of the way that I engage with myself and the world. And it feels good to be able to get sort of energy out from talking like this and being exploratory. I think that's been a big, you picture me on like the boat for the podcast and like on the, on the cover artwork. And it's like, that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm in my boat and I'm exploring around what there is to be seen and to be explored and to just be learned about. And that might mean that I stumble or I get a little messy or it's like, I'm talking too much about one thing or another thing, but ultimately, like, I'm not really here to be that self-conscious about myself. And I'm really much more here to just like express myself. And yeah, so I've been working through that a little bit. I guess that was a little bit of the tripping experience kind of gave me an opportunity to appreciate that maybe there are parts of me that deserve to be healed in that respect and deserve to sort of be seen by me so that I can move forward without really doubting and fearing the way that I do things. Like I can just do the stuff that I do. And if that changes, great. And if it doesn't change, also great. Because either way, I'm learning in the process. So yeah, so it's been a good week. There were definitely emotional ups and downs, particularly during the tripping experience. But yeah, it was pretty solid, and I feel pretty good about where I'm at. And I'm kind of just moving forward and working on the discipline that I really want to have with my practice, as I've talked about. Really turning my life into sort of a sacred piece of artwork in the ways that really resonate with me, in the same way that I hope that you can do that for yourself. Do things in your life every day, throughout your day, that help you feel like what you're living is a sacred piece of artwork and that you're living inside of your own creation. Yeah, so basically what I kind of want to talk about within the last, I'm not sure exactly how long it'll be, but maybe 5-10 more minutes of this podcast, is that through this sense of discipline and sort of practicing this sacred aspect of living and of being in relationship to myself and reality and the world and all that good stuff, and sort of taking a mystical approach to the mystery and allowing it and kind of just diving in, I'm thinking about how, for me in my life, doing that on a consistent basis, like having the discipline to meditate every day, for example, it really is helpful when I'm in one place for a long period of time and I don't really stray from my schedule very much. And what I've discovered it's summertime, like we're going on vacation. I'm going up next weekend. I'm going to go up to see extended family for a wedding, and I'm going to be like out of town all this week. Like these kinds of like changes in one's sort of like day-to-day living patterns, they're interesting opportunities, because a part of me, I know for myself, like it's what it's like. This is what it's like. All right, I'm going to boil it down into terms that I've understood since I was very little. So like, like when you might be eating really healthy and exercising every day and feeling really good before you go on a vacation. And then you go on vacation and you kind of just eat whatever because it's vacation, right? And you don't really exercise and you're kind of like, yeah, it's whatever. Just, let everything loose and just like relax. And what happens is, at least for me, by the end of vacation, when I get back home or back to, whatever my daily routine is, it's like that snowball effect. It's like it lost its weight and its depth and its density. And so then I'm like, is it even worth eating healthy now? Is it even worth exercising? I already lost the habits. And I think there's an amount of discouragement basically that happens when you take time away from your sort of healthy lifestyle patterns, habits, choices, whatever you want to call it, loving way of relating to oneself, whatever you want to call it, because I think it's different for everybody. And I just use that as an example because that's what I've experienced when I was, growing up in high school, college time and stuff like that. There was this thing that happened where I would lose the momentum that I had within things that I was really enjoying because I kind of just got swept up in changing it and letting go and just, whatever. And I think now at this point in my life, I really want to figure out, one, how to continue my practice, but also how to like still go on the vacations, still change where I'm going to be, still interact with the world and change my scenery and change my environment and be in different places and explore, while also being to maintain that root to the practice that I have that really fulfills me in a way that's much, much more meaningful, sincere, and important to me than like not exercising for a week because it's quote vacation or something. Like exercise feels good. So why would I stop doing that when I'm, on vacation? And this is again, this is like, I could say that, I got swept up in like, because I'm out of town, I'm supposed to be doing this. But really, ultimately, it's a challenge within myself. Like I have a habitual pattern underneath that I've experienced in the past that leans into those moments to say, okay, no more discipline, let it go. But I can feel that what I am doing now and what I want now is to sort of continue the practices and the discipline and the sort of ways of taking care of myself that really benefit me every day. You know, like, this isn't to say that I shouldn't take breaks. Of course, like, you know, just on Thursday, that was the day I tripped. I was feeling really exhausted and emotionally kind of like drained. And I was just feeling like I just want to have quiet time tonight to myself and relax. And so I took the night off and took a break from streaming, and I'm taking the break from streaming this week. And I'm not going to be, you know, I'm not going to be at my setup to be making music and stuff. I'm taking a break from that. So it's not to say that we shouldn't take breaks, but that, for example, I really benefit from meditation every single day. And meditation is not the kind of thing where I just want to like take breaks from it. Like, it just isn't. I can feel that I have the willpower within me to continue that practice every day, because I know how beneficial it is to me and how it just really fills me with like a sense of calm and orients me in the right direction. I mean, I think I've talked about this before, like, yeah, probably in, I feel like the second episode, like balancing acts, like when I have experiences that throw me off and sort of flip the boat over, meditation, amongst other things that I'm learning now as I go, it orients the boat so it's back facing upright, faced in the right direction, so then I can continue going. And then it's up to me to steer it. But that's kind of what I mean, like I don't want to take breaks from certain things in my life. Like, think about it. I mean, it's like brushing your teeth. I've talked about this metaphor before. Lots of people have used this metaphor. Like, I don't want to take days off of brushing my teeth. I like having my teeth brushed. I like cleaning my mouth, you know? Like, I like taking a shower. I like doing things that assist with my well-being. I like eating. Like, I like eating meals and eating every day. Like, I don't just want to take breaks from eating. I mean, there is something to be said for like fasting practice and spirituality, but generally speaking, like, there are certain things that I just want to do every day. And I think regardless of whether I'm, you know, in some boot camp or on a retreat or on vacation or at, you know, visiting family or going skiing or just at home for the day or have a long day of work or something, there are things that I think are really important that for them to become a part of my daily life no matter what. And that, you know, maybe one day I can let go of them, but I'd have a whole different understanding of who I am and the way that I relate to my reality. And so where my ego's at right now, where I'm at right now, where my personality is right now, is that I am wanting to be really devoted and committed to this discipline. And I will do that. I'm going to do that. And I have been doing that. And there are a bunch of different things that I've been working on that allow me to have that type of orientation throughout the day. And I'm going to continue to engage with that. And, you know, what do I do on here? I report it back. So yeah, that's where I'm at, is I think that I'm ready to let go of being so caught up in what I think I'm supposed to do when I like go on vacation or go do this or do that, and like take care of myself no matter where I am or what I'm doing, because ultimately that's what really matters to me in terms of my relationship to myself. And it's worth it. It's so worth it. It's so worth it. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I've got some kind of like little games I play with myself to like keep myself on track and keep the orientation where I want it to be. And I think the more we can make it sort of like fun for ourselves, I think the better off we are in terms of being able to stay disciplined. I think, at least for me, like, you know, I think about like playing Pokemon, for example, when I was younger, or, you know, even not that recently, but I've played like the new games. I always play every game that comes out pretty much. Like, I was so disciplined about playing those games, like so disciplined. It was such a disciplined like practice every single day. And it's just because I loved it. And sure, it was a fun hobby that is set up to occupy my attention, but like, you know, I can still learn from that kind of process. And that's what I mean. Like, how can I make things fun in the way that things were fun for me as a kid and continue that? Because as adults, we still, I'm assuming you're an adult listening to this, but if you're not, then hang on to the fun either way, and hang on to the creativity. But like for us adults, like this is about continuing to nourish that part of ourselves that is a kid, that is excited, that wants to have fun, that is creative, and wants to sort of make works of art, just create works of art just because that's the way it is. Well, yeah, that's the way it is. That's the way we live. So yeah, that's where I'm at. That's what I'm thinking about. And yeah. So what insights do I have in regards to sort of continuing practice in like less familiar situations or things that are different from the ordinary is recognize that it's a healthy challenge. It's a healthy challenge to see what are the things that you really believe in that are really important to you in taking care of yourself and taking care of your relationship to the world and your relationship to your everyday waking state. And how can you meet that challenge? Like maybe, maybe I'm not going to do every single thing that I've been doing while I've been, at home and I have most of the day to myself and I work a little bit, but I have like, enough hours throughout the day to be able to like kind of do these practices. Maybe I don't do everything, but what I do is I continue the practice overall and I continue the momentum that I've been building and meet the challenge saying, yes, I see that this is an opportunity for growth and I'm going to grow and learn through this. So yeah, that's how I'm doing. I think that's going to be it for today's podcast. I haven't decided on the title, so I'll put it in the, oh, you know what? No, I think I'm going to call it Meet the Challenge. That's what I'm going to call it. I like when I come up with the titles in the middle of the episode. Yeah. I hope you have a wonderful week. I will talk to you next week. I'll hear you next week. You'll hear me next week. And yeah, in the meantime, if you want to stay up to date with what I have going on in a very consistent way that allows you to kind of hear any demos I create. And at some point, I think I'm going to start adding like mini podcast episodes to there that are kind of like stuff that I record on my phone throughout the week or something that I feel like will allow me to kind of engage with this way of sort of speaking and experiencing what I experience, but doing it in a sort of more additive basis. And I'm thinking I might start including that. So all of that, if you want, that's on my Patreon, and that the link, you can find it in the description of this, and you can also find it at my website and all that good stuff, but it's patreon.com/jackintheway. So I've got like 3 different tiers that you can do. The cheapest one is like $4, so it's no big deal. Yeah, and I hope to see you on there. And the other thing is, if you have questions, like it doesn't have to be questions like, Jack, what do I do about this? I mean, if you want advice, fuck yes, I would love to give advice. I'll do my best. But even if it's just questions because you're like curious about how I do something and want to like compare it to how you do it, whether it's creative or spiritual or life or relationships or whatever, definitely hit me up with your question. You can DM them to me. Like I'm not getting a ton right now, so like I would cover anything that I get pretty much. And DM them to me, or if you're on my Patreon, then ask me there. I'll definitely see it if you do that, or whatever, just hit me up if you have questions and I can cover it in my next episode. Cause that would be really fun to have like a section of each episode where I like answer questions and stuff. So anyway, hit me up on Patreon, hit me up wherever. I will be seeing you soon. I'll be hearing you soon. And yeah, if you're in the DC area, look out for my show that I'm announcing. That should be a lot of fun. All right, peeps. I love you. Thank you so much for listening. I never forget how grateful I am to have you here listening and that we can kind of be in conversation like this. Be well. Take care. Hang in there. I'll talk to you later. Here's to remembering who we are. Peace.